Welcome to the ScreenCrush Break Room. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in The Bad Batch, Episode 5. The title of this episode is Rampage, which obviously refers to the Rancors' rampage. When the episode begins, we see Omega getting her own comlink. Now this is a way to officially anoint her as part of the team. She's not just a kid's sidekick, she will be of use. But as the channel heavy spoilers pointed out, it's also a way for the team to keep tabs on her after last week's episode. Wrecker is once again doing curls with his gonk droid, the only thing they're good for except a good laugh. Wrecker's chip continues to hurt him, hinting that it's going to either be activated or maybe it's already been activated and he doesn't realize it. There's more to his chip that I'll go over later in the video. The episode takes place on Ord Mantell, a planet we first heard of in The Empire Strikes Back.
Well, the bounty hunter we ran into when Ord Mantell changed my mind.
This was also a key location in the novel Shadows of the Empire, which was also the setting of an N64 game where you play as Dash Rendar on the planet. There's a lot of Arabesh letters in this episode. The letters above the door read SIDS, and just beneath them are two dice used in the Sabacc variant Corellian Spike. You'll remember that Han had lucky dice like these that he kept on Millennium Falcon, and Ghost Luke passed Leia a ghost version of them in The Last Jedi. This machine behind Sid reads Credit Pusher. I'm guessing this is a game where you feed quarters waiting for a bar to push more quarters into a trench, but it never ever pays off. And there's a lot of Arabesh letters here. This says Insert Credit. The slot machine here has 3 symbols for credits, which also happen to look like lucky number 7 on our Earth slot machines. And the game is also called Credit Craze. The hologram fight is reminiscent of the hollow chest that we first saw in A New Hope. And here it says Insert Credit. This other slot machine is a game called Corellian Roll, and Corellia is of course the trash heap of a planet that Han Solo is from. There is an Ithorian and a Weequay fighting in this place, aliens that we first saw in A New Hope and Return of the Jedi respectively. Sid pulls the old Yoda trick, denying who she is for fun.
You seek Yoda.
You know him?
Take it to him, I will.
She is a trandoshan, the same species as Bosk the Bounty Hunter. And she's voiced by Rhea Perlman, who's Carla from Cheers. She's also got a lot of that same Carla sass.
You homesick for the Bronx?
Yeah.
Here.
She's actually the 3rd actor from Cheers to appear in Star Wars. If you can name the other 2, let me know in the comments. Hint, one of them was in The Empire Strikes Back in this scene. Now Omega can see right through her lie, just like she knew that Crosshair was about to turn on the team, because she's going to be revealed to be a Force-sensitive clone. Let's just all pretend to be surprised when the reveal happens.
Huh?
Above the bar, these round bottles read something detonator, so I'm guessing this is a really burning kind of liquor. The round bottle is also to remind us of the thermal detonators that we first saw in Return of the Jedi.
Because he's holding a thermal detonator!
Notice there are cylindrical containers that look a lot like IG droids hanging above the bar, just like in the cantina in A New Hope. Sid leads them into her office, which is filled with Easter eggs. There's a blank Mandalorian helmet on the wall to the left. In the center of the shelf, there is a clone trooper helmet. Now, according to the channel Star Wars Tonight, the color marks it as likely from the 327th Legion. That's the one that killed Aayla Secura in Revenge of the Sith. On the wall to the right is a helmet from the 187th, as denoted by the purple coloring. This unit served with Mace Windu, and the purple was in honor of his purple lightsaber. Now, this tooth or claw on Sid's desk could be a number of things. Maybe it's the horn from a mudhorn, like we saw in The Mandalorian, or from a wampa, like we saw in Empire Strikes Back. I'm betting that it's a rancor tooth, because we meet Muchi later in the episode, but also because they serve a flight of drinks and rancor teeth at the Galaxy's Edge theme park. Omega lays eyes on a weapon, foreshadowing that she's going to get a bow by the end of the episode. Now, it looks as if Sid's chair is covered in a bantha hide, and just above her seat are 2 pistols that look a lot like Jango Fett's. And the art here is actually pre-visualization art from the unused Clone Wars episodes that depicts your mom. She says,
Are you fresh out of the tube?
because, well, clones come out of tubes. We saw that in Attack of the Clones. The batch comes up against Zygerian slavers, who we first saw in the Clone Wars arc Escape from Kadavo, where Ahsoka and Anakin helped to destroy the Zygerian slave trade. And of course this has personal meaning for Anakin because he grew up as a slave on Tatooine. Now the team has to explain the concept of slavery to Omega.
They don't have a choice. They're captives, treated like property.
This isn't just a random placement. This is because the theme of the show is programming versus free will. The Bad Batch have to prove that they're individuals and not programmed automatons, that they're not slaves. Omega understanding slavery is one way for the Bad Batch and eventually the other clones to question their own service and how they fit into the galaxy. Wrecker mentions,
Smash and grab like that time on Kuat.
Kuat is the home of the Kuat shipyards, which are a key location in lots of Star Wars video games, like Empire at War, great game. Before now, the only canon mentions of Kuat were the Arabesh writing in past Clone Wars episodes. When they're watching the Zygerians, the binocs give a readout of the distance, just like we first saw Luke's binocs do in A New Hope. The Zygerians are using energy bows, the primary weapon of the Night Sisters of Dathomir. The Night Sisters are a group of Force-sensitive women who are the same species as Darth Maul. Now by the end of the episode, Omega has one as well. Again, a subtle way of pointing out that she's probably Force-sensitive. Rancors are also native to Dathomir, which is a nice way to connect the various objects and creatures in this episode. Back at the ship, she's painting a clone doll to be a member of the Bad Batch. And remember, we saw a version of this doll that belonged to Jyn Erso in Rogue One. The child they mistake for Muchi is a feline. This is the same species as the villain Prince Xizor in Shadows of the Empire, which again is a great book, but a decent game. Fight me in the comments if you disagree. One of the Zygerians says,
Skug.
Now this is the Zygerian slur that we've heard previously in the Clone Wars.
You will be mine, little scug.
And we also heard Jen Darn say this in The Mandalorian Chapter 4.
Real backwater skug-a-hole.
But the other part of this sentence is also important.
We're not in the Republic anymore, Skug.
The Republic outlawed slavery. I mean, not very well.
The Republic's anti-slavery laws are...
The Republic doesn't exist out here.
Whereas the Empire was all about slaves. They built the Death Star with slave labor. The Zygerians even say that with the Republic gone, they can return to Kadavo, the planet that Anakin helped expel them from in the Clone Wars. The creature the Zygerians ride is called a Breezak, which we saw in the same Zygerian arc of the Clone Wars. When Omega looks into the Rancor cage, the build-up and the design of the cage seem borrowed from the reveal of the Raptors in Jurassic Park. Now it's nice to see the Rancors actually fight. The one that Luke murdered was kind of a rickety stop-motion puppet. Fun fact, George Lucas really wanted the Rancor to be a man in suit, but every time they tried it, the person in the suit would just fall over because the design is so top-heavy. Now the Rancor, of course, was first introduced in Return of the Jedi, but this episode isn't the first time we saw a Rancor humanized. Malakili, the Rancor Keeper, was devastated when Pantessa was killed. And by the way, the novel Aftermath, Life Debt, identified the Rancor that Luke murdered by that name, Pantessa. So Luke does not kill Muchi, so you can go back to only hating Luke for taking away Grogu. The Rancor Wrecker fight reminded me a lot of the boxing match in Cool Hand Luke.
Stay down.
Bib Fortuna appears in this episode. He's Jabba's Twi'lek Majordomo that we first saw in Return of the Jedi. Here, he's voiced by Matthew Wood, the sound designer who portrayed him here in The Phantom Menace, and also in the teaser for the Book of Boba Fett. He's accompanied by Jabba's Gamorrean guard, who we also first saw in Return of the Jedi. Now, they staged this like Bib Fortuna is going to be a surprise, but really, it's kind of easy to tell it's going to be him because this guy looks like Bib Fortuna. He's speaking Huttese, and the poster behind Sid in her office is written in Huttese. I spent about an hour trying to decipher this thing, and the best I could come up with was Castor Wooen Burlet Narzian. But that Burlet part was interesting because it made me think this could be a cheeky reference to General Bryn Durlin from The Empire Strikes Back. And finally, Sid identifies the bounty hunter as Fennec Shand, who we've already met in The Mandalorian. She also name drops,
My sources in the guild say she's working on a direct commission.
She's referring to the Guild of Bounty Hunters that Greef Karga worked for as middle management in The Mandalorian. So now, we've gone a couple episodes without Crosshair appearing, so don't be surprised if he shows up soon. It'll be interesting to see if Wrecker is able to fight the control chip once it activates, and maybe if this inspires Crosshair to try to do the same. The episode's ending is another way to say that the galaxy is slowly becoming more evil. Even the good deed that the Bad Batch commit, saving Muchi, means that this creature is going to be condemned to live beneath Jabba the Hutt's palace, suffer in darkness, and eat people for his entertainment. So in this new era, even the heroic victories only benefit the villains. I love how the Bad Batch is leading toward a battle that depicts free will versus programming. freedom versus slavery. It's a way of transitioning the saga to show that the clone struggle of free will versus mind control mirrors the rebellion's own struggle for freedom against the Empire. Well, that's all the Easter eggs that I found, but if you found any, let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.